Yes, we are back, folks. It's 9 o'clock again on a Friday, and if Phil and Liam are on the screen, you know what I'm going to say. You know what that means, but it's not Greg Taylor this week, Liam. It's the new holder of the klaxon. It is Adam Eder. He is now here to tell us that you know what that means, mate, because it is indeed that Friday feeling on the boys on the bus. Welcome along. Take your seats. Liam, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Brilliant, mate. Sun is shining. Long weekend in Canada. Family's been to Bulgaria. So when you see the black bottle like that, it usually means farm strength.
I was going to say I'd probably quite a strong alcohol there if it's from Eastern Europe.
Mate, you could start your tractor, your mother-in-law, your dog, everything on just in like one cap. First time I tried it, I couldn't believe how strong it was. But I don't know, it does something to your body. It's great. I got into drinking one late at night with my mother-in-law on the farm. And and especially in the hot weather as well. When you get it freezing cold for the fridge, it feels amazing in you.
Although it is a bit of a worrying sign that you're getting those strong alcohol out tonight. Hopefully it's not been too traumatic the last few days.
Yeah, let's see where that measurement goes to. It started here.
Yeah. God, so I hope it's not been too traumatic for you this week with what's been going on. But we've got a bit to get through tonight, Liam. I think we're going to have a bit of a laugh, a bit of fun tonight. I think obviously I took a wee night off on Tuesday. Connor stepped in. He's a excited young fellow, isn't he, young Connor? He gets going, but thanks to Connor for stepping in. I think he did a pretty good job. Yeah,
he did a great job. I was on that with him and Reagan, and I had a blast. We had some good segues and all that, and if you poke him, you'll get one of the rants for him, and it's good. It's good to see a young boy with that much energy and passion for Celtic, not just as jaded old guys that are all grumpy. Good to see
Celtic does.
I mean, the youth are getting involved now. Celtic will see to that.
That is indeed it. Well, folks, of course, before we get started, you know what I'm going to say. You know what you need to do at this point of the show. Do that good stuff and help us out massively again. And say we are a relatively new channel now. We are plodding along pretty nicely numbers-wise, but you can help us do a wee bit better. I did say about, can we hit 500 subscribers before the new season starts? Well, the new season starts in just a couple of days because, we're playing St Mirren on Sunday, but we ain't too far off it. I think the last I saw we were 480-something. So even if we get to Sunday, we're not going to be far away. So 500 is we're barreling down on 500, but hey, if we can get there quicker, then all the better. So if you discover us tonight for the first time and you like what we do, like the cut of me and Liam's jib, then by all means hit the old subscribe button and keep us in your life that wee bit longer. And of course, remember the bell notification so that you know when we're on the road, when we go live and whatnot. You will be notified on YouTube. Of course, I say hit the like button, helps out with the old algorithms, gets us recommended. And now when you're on YouTube and you see that bit down the right hand side about related videos, the more interactive the channel is, the more likely it is to pop up in them for people who watch Celtic podcast-related content. So, of course, that's where the like helps out there. And, of course, you can share the link on whatever social media platform tickles your fancy. And also interact with our comments page, the posts, the community posts that I put on the page as well. I'll usually always stick up a post when we've got a show scheduled. So that's another way as well to interact with us. And, of course, speaking of comments, who is in our comments tonight, Liam? Let's have a wee look who is here tonight. Joe Henry is in. Graham Tyrrell is in. He, of course, is here. He's got the klaxon, but I said at the top of the show, there might be a new klaxon holder now. Who else in? Champions Ireland is in. Jim Dolan is in. Alfred is here. Paul McGuire is here. Scott Howe, James Kennedy. Jimmy Six Pouches. Oh, it's a busy one tonight. Who else have we got? Scrolling up, see, I've not shouted out yet. Jim Dolan is here. Square Sausage Mick, brilliant name. Matt McDonald is here. Can you get a square sausage, man? You can't beat it. Fallon Partridge is here, giving it the old aha again. Good stuff. I like your consistency in that one. And yeah, Ryan M97, thank you for noticing the title, because yes, the title tonight, no, how do you pronounce this correctly? Here we go. No Pusey-Footing around Celtic. The real stuff starts now. So yes, that is the title of tonight's show. And for a wee bit of fun tonight, let's get some banter in the comments going. Let's obviously have a wee bit. We'll get a few suggestions from the folks. So obviously our new signing, Jahmai Simpson-Pusey. Okay, that's how we pronounce his name. Yes, but of course, I'm pretty sure, just like myself, the first time you saw his name pop up on social media that linked to him, you probably didn't pronounce it as Pusey. The first time you saw it, I looked at it and went, No, no, surely we're not signing anyone with that name. Yeah, obviously that is great. However, let's have a fun. I want you guys to comment to tell me some unfortunate names, unfortunate surnames, or ones that a commentator would look at and go, and they're going to have a night for this one. And of course, a quite obvious one to start off with. This guy, Raphael from Shite. We of course played for Celtic Park. So that'd be a great suggestion. That's one to go in there because again, you look at that name and this a commentator's just going to have a nightmare seeing that. And of course, here's a really niche reference for you, Liam. Here's a real niche one, right? This is from years ago. Years ago playing Champ Manager, right? And when I was like 14, 15, the sort of the early 2000s playing it on that game, you'd as a teenager, you would go on the database on it and you would of course type offensive words down just to see what happens, right? And this guy would come up, this Italian defender that played for Benfica in 2000 called Argel, and you're like, what specific about his name? Turns out when you clicked on his bio, his full name was actually that. That was actually how you spell his name. That was his full name. So yes, that is an unfortunate surname to say the least. So yes, tonight, folks, in the comments for a wee bit of fun, a wee bit of interaction, get your unfortunate surnames in there from the world of football, and we'll read a few of them out later on, have a wee bit of a laugh about it. And yeah, on the title tonight, as I say, no Pusey-Footing around Celtic. The real stuff started. I know who wasn't he Pusey-Footing around today, Liam? Brendan Rodgers. We're going to come to Brendan Rodgers right away because I know every week you love to analyse a Brendan Rodgers quote, but he came out swinging today. Some interesting comments. But Liam, do you ever get a sense of deja vu? And I don't just mean about Celtic transfer windows with Brendan compared to last year, because I know some people have drawn comparisons to this time last year. He did an interview where he seemed kind of similar tone. Even going back to Ange Postecoglou, do you remember we'd had a bad result early on in Ange's tenure in his first season, and he said, maybe I've not been forceful enough with the board. And today, of course, Brendan said, maybe I've not done a good enough job convincing the board about the new signings. Very, very reminiscent there. I mean, that's two different managers. But yeah, what did you make of Brendan's comments today on it?
I think it's very telling, and I think it's what we were looking for as fans as well. We were looking for some sort of direction for Rodgers as whether this is acceptable or not. Right? So we wanted a hint for him. We said that last week. So, okay, well, what can Rodgers do this week? If you're not getting the players you're not getting the support, let it be known. You let that be known, you'll get the full backing of the support. Because I think everybody's behind you and most people can see this. There's still going to be all those outliers out there that are, they're still fans at Celtic, but they're just not into the day-to-day sort of drama that, the rest of us are. It's a soap opera as well as a football team. And, and we deep dive into that part of it as well. So for Rodgers to come out and just show that, I think, okay, that's good. I don't like it when it's too encrypted. Mm-hmm. So this one, okay, yeah, I think he was pretty well on the nose. And that just shows you now that set up the situation for Sunday. So if it goes sideways on Sunday, which I don't think it will, or with any sort of accusation of throwing at Nicholson and Lau and Mackay, yeah, they completely deserve it as well. But they'll also see which side the fans are on as well. And it just comes to what sort of balls or what sort of brass neck that they've got now to sort of do the Millwall, nobody likes us, we don't care, chant, for the boardroom, as they march onto the pitch to unfurl the flag. Because people are getting an active dislike from them. And it's not about who they are or it's the fact that they're hiding. They're not willing to communicate, and that's either because it's either fear or it's arrogance. And either one of them is a very weak trait to have in a guy that's the CEO or a head of your club and all that. And I think a lot of people have spoke about it over the last couple of days, varied degrees of rage and all that. And I don't want to try and outrage anybody else how staunch I can be as a Celtic supporter and that. I think we'll see on Sunday. I think you'll see how much of the support agree at that point. Because right now, I'm always surprised that when I talk to people, when you go back to the club and the club starts up, which it does this weekend, and you talk to people, what state of that board and that, what are they doing? Well, we've won 13 out of 14. So you still get a lot of all that. And I think it's just to sort of, let them see the light as well too. It's like, okay, but do you want to be embarrassed in a Champions League night? Or do you not Do you not think you want to have something better? You know, where's your ambition to see this club evolve in that? And so, yeah, I think we'll see that on Sunday, and I'm glad Rodgers came out, and I completely support him on that thing, because I've been very critical of Rodgers, because, again, I don't think the silence thing has to be our cultural, thing that defines us. We need to communicate better with the fans. No problem asking for us to buy stuff, right? Now, asking us, tell us what we're buying into. That's what we need for the board.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've said for a few times now about the quality term that Brendan keeps using. I would like a wee bit more definition on that, because in my head, I now have this image that every single player that's being presented to Brendan, he's just going, nah, not him. Nah, not him. No, he's not good enough. So it's like, well, what is it you're actually in the market for, other than just saying quality? Are we just looking for an upgrade on what we've already got? Say, unfortunately, I felt like I had it in for him the other week in the group chat saying, what about Liam Scales then? We must be getting better than Liam Scales, surely. But yeah, to me, it's always like, the quality term. I'd like to know a wee bit more as to what Brendan's actually meaning by that exactly, other than just an upgrade. And also in terms of his contract, he was also talking about that today as well, something that is a bit, he said he has had some talk with Michael and Dermot, but there's still kind of a standoff. But he made a term about, if I'm not a manager that's good at maintaining things, I'm all about progressing and evolving. So he's basically saying that he wants to see the club push forward. He's given them an ultimatum saying, basically, if you want me here as a manager, we need to show a wee bit of progression and whatnot. But yeah, it was interesting to hear them say that. See, I wouldn't be the manager for Celtic if they give him maintenance. So that's basically hitting at a Sean Mahoney type person, that type of level, of Scott Brown. So hopefully we're not staring down the barrel at. But his comments were, his comments, I say, were refreshing. And to me, it does seem like he is a man that wants to stay beyond this season, but he needs those assurances. And some people speculate, Liam, that is he not getting the backing because he hasn't committed yet? But he's not committing yet until he gets the backing. It's the whole rock and a hard place thing. That's what it feels like we're at the moment. But I think what he said today did kind of give us a wee bit of energy about it.
I mean, that's the speculation as well. Is he getting the backing? Is he, and I'm hoping he is. I mean, supposedly we sent Paul Teasdale to look at players the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the players we were watching played very well. And so, like, when are we going to see any results of this? And yeah, he's not getting the backing right now. He doesn't seem to be getting it. And is it just because he's leaving this summer or he's leaving next year? He's not said that yet. I mean, it's again, this board manages to chase its and eat its own tail all the time. It's like, we'll get more money if we qualify for the Champions League, but let's sell some players just in case we don't, and then give us lesser chance of qualifying for the Champions League. And it's the same with Rodgers. It's like, well, let's not give him money this year because he might leave. But he will leave if you don't give him money, or give him money so that he's happy and he stays, and then we can actually feel like we're not just maintaining something, but we're actually building something, which is every professional, any good at anything. You always want to be building. If you just want to stay on, your 13 out of 14 titles or whatever it is, or just last year. I mean, this season starts on Sunday. It doesn't matter. It's all zero. We're on 0 points. It doesn't matter what you did last year.
Mm-hmm.
And if it did, they'd give you a discount in your season tickets. They'd give you a discount on other things because you've got this like run of success, and we're going to pass it on to the consumer. I'll be right.
Celtic passing on to the consumer, not a chance. Graham Tyrrell said in the chat he's convinced Brenski's off. I'm telling you now, he's telling us, mate. As I was told, he's gone. But yeah, it's a very much mixed. There's a lot of people having a similar opinion, some saying that they think he'll stay and whatnot. It is. But today's comments, I mean, to be fair, he did address the contract talks. He did mention them briefly when they were over in Italy, in Como. He did mention that they'd had some talks, but again, it just sounded like there wasn't much more to report. But he's going to get asked about it. Every time he sits down a microphone in front of his face this season, he's going to get asked about it until we have some sort of definitive, no, I'm definitely leaving, or it signs a new deal or whatnot. But yeah, another thing that, of course, he brought up today, and again, And he braced myself to say this correctly. Jahmai Simpson-Pusey, he pretty much confirmed it's happened. Even though Celtic have not put the little fancy graphic out on their Twitter page and announcing them and whatnot, he did announce that he's coming in on loan for the year, which, say, badly kept secret. It's been reported all over Scottish media for the last 3 days solid. So, yeah, it's definitely happening. But an interesting twist of the tale, and I'm glad you just brought it up there, is we were talking about this in the group chat, saying, well, this boy seems to be rated by Pep Guardiola. He got quite a few outings last season for a 19-year-old for Manchester City, played in a Champions League game against Sporting Lisbon. Granted, Man City did lose the game, but Man City were going through a very, very strange 2-month period where I think they lost every game they played, bar 2 or something, which for Man City was weird. But anyway, he did play, and he's played a few Carabao Cup games and whatnot. So I think it's like 6 or 7 appearances he made, but it seems like Pep is quite high on him. So you've got to think, well, Man City are not sending this boy up here to sit on the bench for 38 games. So, but with CCV and his sort of sketchy injury record, you're like, okay, he probably will get a decent amount of game time. It gives a chance to rest CCV in some occasions because, again, we've got 3 pitches this season that are plastic, Liam. We know what they can do to players with bad knees and bad calf muscles and whatnot. So, okay, well, maybe that's, he'll get some game time there and he will get a decent amount to help with development, even though, yes, we're developing a player for Man City and sending him back. But then last night, as you said, we heard the report that the recluse, the enigma, Paul Tisdale was spotted watching Hammarby, the Swedish team, and the centre-back, Victor Eriksson, apparently was the one we were looking at. And funny enough, he scored the winning goal last night in the Conference League qualifier. Now, given that we've brought in Inamura, who's left-sided, even though he's kind of been slotting in at left-back, we were told left-sided centre-back. We've still got Liam Scales, we've still got Austin Trusty. So the left-sided defence, you've got to imagine, we're beefed up there. Simpson-Pusey's coming in, but now we're getting linked with this boy, Eriksson. Don't get me wrong, nothing's official yet, but it's just weird that we're linked with another right-sided centre-back when we're bringing this boy in on loan. And I hate to put this out here in the universe, right? I hate to say it, but being a Celtic fan, we're always conditioned for this thing. CCV, do you think that the club are preparing for a CCV bid at some point between now and the end of the window, and they're trying to cover their bases? I say I hate the fact I'm putting out there in the universe. I don't want CCV to go, but when I see we're just putting a boy on loan, we've already got Dane Murray, who Brendan's also hyped up as well, that he wants him to be an understudy at CCV this season. And then we're linked with this boy Eriksson, who Tisdale went and watched last night, and it's like, okay, now my spider sense is tingling here,
I think your spider senses are correct. I think there's something definitely going on. Could he be up for sale? I'm not sure. No, with the amount of injuries he gets right now and the fact that he doesn't seem to be able to shake this last one off, which leads me to believe it might be that. Is there a chance that CCV is either more injured or less mobile now because of these operations and these wee setbacks, that they're seeing it now in training? It's like, okay, this guy might be breaking down a lot more than what he has in the past, which hasn't been great as well. He misses a lot of very, very big, important games for us. Mm-hmm. And that's got to be looked at. And if that's happened when we sort of had him as fit, now that we know that he's got this struggling or niggling injury as well, that might change the point of view entirely. And it's like, hopefully that this is us being proactive. I know it's a word we don't really know or use very much for Celtic.
The Celtic board on through their dictionary right now, like proactive. The P section's been ripped out of our dictionary here. We don't know what that is.
So I don't know, Phil. What do you think? Do you think maybe? I mean, look at the shape of as well. Like as a football player, he's he's no an athletic shape, right? He's more of a sturdy, strongman type shape, right? When you see him, he's more. I think he looks more like set up for American football or rugby than he does football.
Yeah.
And just by his build and all that. But I heard him say one thing this week in a comment, and I read it on X or something like that, and it said something along the lines of he's been in pain since he's been 15. He says he's been playing through the pain barrier since that age. And that tells me that he's got his, I think just because of shape him, that there's a lot maybe a pressure on his pelvis or his hips that more physically lean players don't get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've played guys. You know, you always play with these guys that are a bit heavier, and then when they're older, they're wearing the braces on their knees and all that sort of stuff on their legs, the big heavy ones and stuff. Because yeah, they always seem to be that sort of shape. It's none of the young, skinny gazelle type guys. You know, it's always like broad, stocky guys. So I'm hoping that's not. I'm hoping that we don't need a new fridge. That it's cool enough for us.
It seems by what's been said in the comments, I've seen a few things popping up, but apparently the manager of Hammerby said Ericsson's not for sale. But also Hugh Jameson has came in and said, Brendan said the central defending business is done, but he was Tisdale watching, but he says maybe Tisdale was checking out another player. So he was apparently cited there. Quinny's podcast identified another potential target. Interesting, but yeah. So the little known Paul Tisdale was spotted out and about. So he was in Hammerby watching. But yeah, I say when I did see the headline, it was Ericsson they were looking at, and I was like, no, wait a minute, what's going on here? We've just put in this boy Simpson-Pusey cover there. But yeah, it's just to me, I was like, oh no, surely that's not going to mean that a CCV were getting a bid late in the window and they're just covering their bases. So hopefully that's not the case. As I put it out there, the universe, it seems like we're okay. We've avoided a bullet there, so that's all right. So that looks like it's not the case. Brendan Rodgers has said that apparently the central defender business is done. So okay, we can tick off defenders then. Apparently that's that all done and dusted. So
Phil, Mark Kearney's in the chat there, and he was saying that we were looking at 3 players.
Okay, I see it now. Aye. 3.
So I don't know. 3?
Fucking hell. Well, what's going on here? The Celtic Board's got a mad one here. 3 players. Jesus. Oh my God.
Well, we do have you know what? Nothing says we're back right now then. Okay, Man City reserve, very promising fullback.
Yep.
And guess who else is back on the scene? Was it
Dudu Dahan? Oh, Dudu. Dudu's back, man.
We're prime 2020s right now.
We are, by the way. We are. Yeah, it's Dudu Dahan, honestly, man. Thing is, there was a few alright ones that he brought along, but yeah, they steadily got worse as it went on. The early ones weren't too bad, like Kyle and whatnot, but yeah, it got steadily worse. So yeah, it's interesting that he's back on the scene. So yeah, we'll see.
There's one other Manchester City loan that would interest me, and it's been going around, and we've talked about this in the podcast. Maybe even a month or two ago.
I've got this. I will go to this now because I've got silly season on my notes here, and there's 3 names that I do in the browser 24 hours, and he's one of them. And honestly, it just epitomises silly season because there's no way. So yes, I know you said it, Jack Grealish, yeah. So that's one of them. The other ones were Raheem Sterling was another one, and I was like, no, surely not. And the other one today, I saw last night, was Federico Chiesa of Liverpool. Now, granted, Sterling's on the out at Chelsea, Grealish is on the out at Man City, and Chiesa, despite signing for Liverpool last year's, barely got a sniff. He was one of the few people that Arne Slot actually signed. But yeah, he didn't really do much at Liverpool for the last year. But that, as I say, silly season in full swing there. I would love any of those 3 to rock up at Celtic Park and say, but I've got a funny feeling that ain't going to happen, Liam. But we can have a laugh about it.
I know, mate. It's pure fantasy land, and you wonder where that came from as well. You know, you see so many people. As soon as it was dropped at, those 3 extras, and it's like, oh, that means whatever that was supposed to be the big news today didn't happen. So, what will keep the animals at bay on Sunday so that they're not trying to tear our heads off? I know, Jack Grealish, Chiesa. Who was the other one?
Raheem Sterling. Which was interesting one because the person that I wanted to, I saw tweeting it saying that they'd heard from a good source. They said that Brendan obviously played a big part. And all I can remember about Brendan and Raheem Sterling's relationship was the Channel 5 documentary that they followed Brendan about in, and him and Raheem Sterling had a falling out at training. They went to like a training camp in the USA, and him and Raheem had a bit of falling out with Raheem. He was only like 17 at the time, gave him a bit of back chat, and he was like, "What did you say there?" Like, we pulled him up in front of the rest of the players, and wasn't too happy about it. So when I saw that, I just had flashbacks to that moment. But yeah, I can't see any of those happening. But I say, silly season, the full swing, and three brilliant names linked with us all at the time when they kind of need to take the pressure off themselves. I mean, not for me to say it was a coincidence, but there you go.
Jack Grealish coming to Celtic would be like George Best going to Hibs. I don't know if he'd survive Glasgow.
I don't think he would. No. I mean, that's like Grealish is somebody who's definitely career stifled, but again, it's all down to wages and whatnot. Some player when he's on it, but I feel that Pep Guardiola and his robot factory at Manchester City have coached all the skill out of that boy, because he was one of the most like skillful players to watch. But then Pep Guardiola and his systems. But yeah, it would be quite fun if one of them did appear. But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do have some transfer news. The end of an era, the end of a saga has happened. It looks like I'm wrong in my prediction. It looks like Balakisha will not be a Celtic player in the last day of the window. And do you know what? I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with that, because, it looks like he's off to France to play in Ligue 1. An unnamed team from Ligue 1 apparently is in negotiations with him now. So it looks like the saga's over. Balakisha probably won't be a Celtic player. And yeah, well, that's fair enough. But it was just a whole strange ordeal. This is just, again, just speculating, because that's all we can really do. I think at one point he has been on our radar, and maybe we have just got cold feet on it due to the injury record, and his agents just kept using our name to try and get him a move, and he's now got said move, it looks like. But yeah, it looks like he's off to a team in French Ligue 1, which is a very high standard of football, so fair play to him on that one. But hopefully he can play the necessary number of games to actually justify the transfer, because yeah, that seems to be the big problem with him, the old injury, the repetitive muscle injury that he kept getting. But yeah, those are the Balakisha saga. So we can put that one to bed, and hopefully for the rest of the summer we don't hear that name again. But would you be surprised if that deal falls down at the last minute and we still continue getting linked to him? You wouldn't be surprised at this stage. But yeah, in terms of other transfer news, that's really all there. So in terms of Simpson-Pusey, obviously we don't know anything about him. We're not going to sit here and say we're absolutely experts on him. Regan did tell me that apparently he was voted the Player of the Year in the EPA, English Premier League 2, EPL 2. Yeah, so he was actually that to say. He's played a couple of games, or a few games for Manchester City's first team in the last year. I have a funny feeling this is going to be like another Jason Denayer scenario where he will be good. I actually do think he'll be good, to the point where end of the season we're going to be like, I wish we could keep him, and we just won't. Because that seems to be a recurring theme with a lot of these loans that we get, where they end up being brilliant, especially the Man City ones. We've had a few over the years. Say Denayer, Patrick Roberts. For a spell, John Guidetti was fantastic, and it was when we began making overtures to him about, do you want to stay full time? Then he suddenly went off the boil magically and had that hissy fit after the League Cup final. Remember that? But yeah, I've got a funny feeling this is going to be one of those like Jason Denayer scenarios where this boy's actually going to be quite good. And come the end, frustratingly, we're going to be like, can we not just keep him? No, he's back to Man City again, and he's shipped out somewhere else to his development. So do you have high hopes for him, William?
Okay, he'll end up in Turkey, guarantee it. 40 million, 45 million, he'll end up in one of the big Bulls teams or something. I spoke to one friend, Man City guy. He says, yeah, he looks good. He looks like young Van Dijk. Okay. So that means carry the ball, 19. Hell, you know what? There's a lot of young players tearing up the leagues right now in Europe. So, yeah, let's see what we can get. At this point, beggars can't be choosers, and unfortunately, back to being beggars. And, as fans and all that. So it's just something coming in that's new, that's fresh. I've still got a lot of hope on Dane Murray. I don't think we should just discard him just because we're not buying and all that. That boy's looked pretty good in the preseason, and I'd like to think that maybe he's moved up the pecking order ahead of Stephen Welsh as well. I mean, it's not that I don't rate Welsh as a player, but he's just so injury prone that you can never get any consistency out of him. To see him, under scrutiny over a course of 4 or 5 games. There's times where he's played where he's been absolutely brilliant. I remember the game where I think he captained us against Real Betis. I think it was for James Forrest's testimonial, maybe.
No, this is the best game. This was the Europa League, wasn't it? Aye, we beat them 3-2 with an absolute second string team. Aye.
And I thought he was absolutely phenomenal that night. And it was like, all right, that's what you can see in the guy. And you can see there's bits of it in that. Like when he does play, he's very sure, confident. I like the way he runs with the ball. I like the fact he can get a head on. And he's actually a goal threat from corners, which we always seem to miss. But yeah, this new guy coming in, I think he's going to just shift right up with them. But that's the problem with loan signings. It's all right, so there's another year where Welsh or that other boy don't develop. Bringing in the other guy as well, that's like 7 for like 2 positions. And yeah, see where it goes.
Yeah, I say I've just got this weird feeling because of the situation, no option to buy. It's just going to be another one of the ones where by the end of it we're like, oh man, wish we could have kept him. But yeah, see if that's good for us. If he comes and has a good season, then yeah, we'll put a sticky plaster on it then now, and we'll deal with it next summer. One of those ones again. A minute ago, I was obviously putting out in the universe there about CCV. Seems like that's not going to happen, but Jim C. He's coming out, he's putting something out in the universe, Liam. Oh no. Says Dizan's contract situation concerns him. Concerns us all. 2 full seasons left. Every chance a bid might come in for him. Oh no, Liam. That's now out there in the universe.
Well, I think the biggest obstacle there is that we're playing him in the wing, where it's been noted and he's desired to play in the middle. And right now he is our best striker. But we've done such a bad job of recruitment right now that we can't afford to even let him play as a striker in this team this pre-season because we were so short of wingers. Hey, that's shit. Even the B team, you think the B team would have had like shifted a couple of wingers or somebody that's ready to go? No, we got the fucking Charlie Chaplin impersonator for Australia on the wing. I mean, they harmed him, but my God, I mean, like, see. Might have been Charlie Chaplin that last game I seen him play. He was just absolutely brutal. It really looked like when we played against that Saudi Arabian team there, I thought he just looked. Long time since I've seen somebody that far out of his league. It's a game, That's a guy showing up at fives for the first time. It's never played with MD, or has they played about 5 years? It just looked. This boy, it's his depth, and I feel bad for him, because he's got move to rapid the end, but we're stopping them,
To give you some context, right, of how out the picture Marco Tilio is. So as I've said before, I know somebody that works in a pretty big position within the club, within their social media department. So obviously takes a lot to do with posting all the things on their Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. And famously or infamously, he one time accidentally posted a picture of his wife eating the dinner at, on holiday, the infamous fish dinner Instagram post. It was him who posted it, and I still give him shit to this day. And I was talking to him the other day, and he said when him and his team were going over some stuff for posting on the socials, like pictures for training, he genuinely looked at one of the pictures and went, "Who's that guy?" And it was Marco Tilio. And there you go, the guy who is the head of the social media at Celtic. So I don't know if that speaks volumes for the social media team or the head of the social media, or how badly out the picture Marco Tilio is. But he generally looked at the pictures of the guy's training. And he's like, "Who's that?" Marco Tilio. But yeah, it just shows you where he's at this stage of the Celtic career. And it's wild that we could be turning up at Celtic Park on Sunday and he could be on the bench. But we will get to our predicted lineups and talk about the team in a little while. But there is something about the game that I want to talk about now, and I want to get, again, the folk involved. So remember, keep getting your funny footballer names into us as well. But another thing I want you all to do, let's get a real interactive night with the channel. So Paul McStay was announced as the one who's going to follow the flag. He's going to be the guest of honour. It's a good choice. The Maestro is coming in. So I want, obviously, the guys in the chat, let us know your favourite Paul McStay moments and memories as well, and I'll bring some of them up, because I've got a standout one, Liam, when it comes to Paul McStay. I've referenced this before, and it's a picture. It's one solitary picture of Paul McStay. To me, it is one of my absolute favourites. Now, we've talked about Celtic and the iconic images that are created for this club, and obviously the Billy McNeil one with the European Cup, the chest puffed out, he's on his own lifting the cup. That is phenomenal. But there's this one picture of Paul McStay at Ibrox. He's just scored in the centenary season. He just volleyed one in from outside the area on his weaker foot, and it sort of dips and hits the post and goes in. We'll go on and win the game 2-1, but then he runs towards the Broomloan end. And this, whatever cameraman it was, the image that he managed to capture, which I've got here, is this. And to me, that's, now we talk about the expression, "This is how it feels to be Celtic." Now, that expression that gets used from the song from a couple of years ago. To me, when I look at that picture and I see the joy in his face there, and to me, it's like, this is how it feels to be Celtic. That is what it's all about. You just scored against them at Ibrox. You can see all the Celtic fans in the background celebrating as well, because that was at a time when we actually got a wee bit of the main stand at Ibrox as well, the enclosure there. But I love it. I love the joy in his face. It's like every emotion to do that. It's like the boyhood dream. So for me, that's one of my favourites. And on that similar note, there's another picture from Ibrox as well, a good 8 years later. Again, Paul McStay, just in front of the Broom Lawn. I think this is from John Hughes, who's just equalised for Celtic in a game in '96. And Paul McStay maybe took the free kick. But it's just that, again, just that joy. And the picture's been captured perfectly. Like, he's just sort of like dropping to his knees just midway through, arms out. He's absolutely elated that we've got ourselves back in the game. But again, a man that just epitomises Celtic for me. We talk about guys who are Mr. Celtic. Paul McStay, man, he's one of them.
See, that's wild, you know. See, Paul McStay is always a weird one for me. That's my generation. That should be the player that I look up to the most. That should be that guy. But unfortunately, I'd left Glasgow then, and that was before internet, when he played and all that. And I wasn't really going to games at 4 in the morning. I was doing other things, you know. And so like, I missed a lot of that. And when I go back and I look at the highlights and that, you see what's an exceptional player he was. So it wasn't like he wasn't on my radar and I didn't know who he was, because I knew so many of my pals went back to Scotland and come back, and how Celtic did the day. Oh, Paul McStay was absolutely brilliant. So I always knew him on the score sheet. I always knew what he was doing. But the actual access to actually get to see him play is just restricted to YouTube now for me, because I never, ever got to see him live. No, I think I did see him live. I seen him when Celtic came to Toronto once, but they got scudded and he didn't really play much that game. But you know, it's funny, like there was a bunch of guys that I knew in Toronto that were high-level youth football coaches, and one of them was a big Rangers guy, this guy, Graham Foster, like massive, like HUN Rangers.
Yeah, one of them.
And they met up with the Celtic team, and Paul McStay came out and helped him train his youth team and all that. And he came back, I played football with him, and he came back into the dressing room and he could not talk enough about Paul McStay. And I'm not kidding you, this guy was like Loudon Tavern Rangers guy, and all he could do was talk up Paul McStay. Not only what an exceptional human being was, but his insights and coaching and his intuition about how to develop young players and stuff like that. And, you know, and coming out and helping these boys. I think he had the provincial under-15 team or something like that. And some through Celtic, Paul McStay came out and spent a day with him, helping him coach and all that. And so, yeah, one of the Celtic players. But, you know, when you saw them announcing Paul McStay, what did you think, Phil? Did you think, okay, they're really reaching out here to try and, like, is he a hostage? Well, no, Bhoys, surely if Paul McStay comes out, right?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure the process for the flag unfurling back in, you know, a good few years back always involved the chairman coming out to the park,
Right.
chief executive.
Right.
But obviously there's the infamous Fergus McCann 1998 one where he came out to the park with Jock Brown and not Vim Yancey, he was away obviously, Joseph Venglos, and who would have been the captain? That one, Tom Boyd. Been the Tom Boyd, yeah.
Tom Boyd.
And they unfurled the flag. So that's when McCann got booed. And I'm pretty sure in the flag unfurlings that followed, the chairman or chief executive always came out. But I've got a bit of a foggy mind the last few years. If Peter Lawwell or Michael Nicholson or anybody has came out with Callum McGregor, Brendan Rodgers, Ange Postecoglou, whatever manager. So I feel like that won't happen, and it will just be the guest of honour, which will be Paul McStay, obviously Cal Mack, Brendan Rodgers, and there'll be an official from the SPFL, probably you know who, bloody Neil Doncaster. They unfurl the flag. He'll get booed because they always do. So I get a funny feeling they're going to stay out the way of Dodge. There was, yes, a little bit of cynicism there, where you're like, yeah, they've went for an absolute bona fide club legend.
For a legend,
but as I say, I'm pretty sure in the last few years, somebody of that ilk from the board hasn't actually came down onto the park. But I could be wrong. So I could have a bit of a foggy brain just now. It's one of those little details at the time when you're in the stadium, you don't really pay attention to it. You just basically pay attention to the flag getting unfurled. You don't really take in if there's a member of the board there or anything. So I do feel that conveniently there won't be any of them out in the middle of the park on Sunday, funny enough.
If they do come out, I hope the fans have a sense of humour about it, and we just do like the Star Wars thing, like dun 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 dun. You know, that would be perfectly suited for that mob, you know, as they come into the stadium.
Aye.
I mean, how can a club with so much positive stuff going for it right now, continually shoot itself in the foot with so much, like, just this ridiculous shit that's outside football, because it's like they've got this provincial wee guy mentality. It just, we don't, you see yourself globally when they're taking in money. But my God, it's trying to get money out of Celtic. And, I've heard this across a lot of different platforms and things like that. Spoke to somebody this week who's doing work with Celtic in advertising, and just saying it just takes them ages to do everything. So it's not just recruitment and stuff like that. There seems to be a lethargic sort of sense in like what a job at this level entails, because I don't think they have a global view of what other people are doing. I mean, a few work placements maybe going to say, I mean, we tried it with Mark Lowell with Man City, but he didn't bring back any of that sort of like agency or learnings or anything like that. We seem to be just trying to carve our own sort of niche way of process that other clubs can't relate to. And I think it's hurting us. I think our ineptitude and the fact maybe our inexperience, whatever, it's hurting us on the platform when we're trying to engage in buying and selling players and that. And it's like we come in so naive. It was like, why would you want to deal with Celtic? If you had a place and a guy kept offering you like, a third every time, you'd get exhausted. You just give up, And
Yeah.
I remember an old creative director of mine used to say, when you were doing art and stuff like that, a penny saved is a fucking penny. It's a penny.
That's it. Every penny counts, mate.
It. But it's not in the big picture. It means like you're not willing to take risks, you're not willing to engage, you're not willing to put passion into a project to move it forward, to do all these sort of intangibles that you need to be successful. And right now, it's like everyone around them, our fans, we've got success in our DNA. We've grown up with this club and we know what it's like. Even when we're not winning, there's winning in other ways. You're winning just by pulling on the hoops or standing next to other Celtic supporters in a pub. You're winning, right? That's all the winning. In fact, you support Celtic, you're a winner. Right now, these guys, they're not involved in football. They're PLC, and right now, Donald Trump was there last week. He was
over here, yes.
Yeah, they've built our boards build a bigger wall than Donald Trump could only dream of. And they're on the one side and the supporters on the other. And you know what? As Roger Waters says, he's a good Palestinian supporter as well. Tear down the wall. Tear down the wall. Maybe that's what we're going to chant on Sunday. Tear down the wall. That's how you end the wall in Pink Floyd, And that's what it is. It's a division right now. And it's like, fuck. And there's no need for it. There's no need for it. Because I don't know what they're trying to save. All right, we get it. You don't know what you're doing, but you're doing good in other things. That means start listening to other people around you. Get some other voices. Get someone else on that board that's got a new idea. And please, God forgive, start embracing creativity. It's not your enemy. I know for accountants it is because it costs money, right?
That's it. That's what it comes down to.
It makes money. It makes money. So, when you used to travel with a British passport in the early 2000s and all that, you were promoting creativity. It meant you were coming from one of the most creative places on the planet. You had all the best bands, we had all the best movies, all the best actors. All that sort of stuff was going. Everything was moving in that direction. Football, everything was going in that direction. And when it's on it, it's the momentum and you got to keep going with it. These guys, they've decided to draw that momentum, take it back, put it to a standstill. And then it's like, okay, we'll advertise season tickets. And then it's just like, they just completely disconnect. What we say, we're all in. That sounds good. It's only 6 letters as well. Oh, no, it's only 7 letters as well. So, in case we have to make it steal, that will save us money. Everything about them is just about just being adequate, just being enough.
Bare minimum.
Yeah. And you meet Celtic supporters all over the world and you go back home, you meet Celtic supporters and you figure, fuck, every single one of them I've ever met has been more than enough. These guys on the board, it's a disconnect. Tear down the wall.
Yeah, they'll definitely be steering clear on Sunday. I don't think any of them will find a way down, unfurl that flag. Paul McStay will be there, but let's get some Paul McStay memories. I asked a few minutes ago to get some in. So let's see what people said. Patrick McLaughlin came in and said McStay's goal at Love Street in '86 is just as good as that other goal. The other goal, yes, I know the one you're talking about, Mr. Johnston scored it. That actually was a really good goal, but yeah, it's unfortunate that he's at the end of it. What a team goal it was by the McStay one with the outside of the foot. Magnificent. Hugh Jameson says that turning pass that set Chris Morris off and for McAvenny to score. I know the exact one. He does the wee sort of like Cruyff type turn in the middle of the centre circle, and as soon as he's turned, he just pings the pass right away round Chris Morris's path, squares it across the goal, McAvenny back post, and Celtic win the game 1-0. Patrick Galton also says that he was immense in the semi-final against Hearts in 1988. Our own Mick has came in and said that the 95 Cup final, yeah, there's a picture of that, the elation in his eyes at the end. Him and Peter Grant, Peter Grant played through the pain barrier that day. Obviously, Tommy Burns, the manager, who played alongside both of them. Paul McStay, just happy to be winning a trophy again, and it's remarkable that in the time that he was club captain, that was the only trophy he lifted, because Roy Aitken was the captain up until 89, which was our last trophy at that point, and the only trophy Paul McStay lifted was the 95 Scottish Cup final. The Patrick also mentioning that he wants a refund for his testimonial. I see nothing in the fog. That, yep. Gerard Mullins also saying the 95 Scottish Cup final. Timmy Bing bringing up this one when he gave his top on the last day of the season when he was meant to be going to Inter Milan, because he was famous as a one club man and he was strongly linked to move to Inter, but he ended up giving his shirt away but ended up staying. One of those what if moments, what would his career have went on to be after that? But to be fair, I think if you ask Paul McStay, does he regret it? I think he'll say no. A resounding no. He's very happy with his time at Celtic, loved the club, and I say he will get the ovation that he deserves on Sunday when he turns up. And yet, speaking of Sunday, Liam, we actually have a real tangible football game to talk about in the Friday. If you've not had one for a while, this isn't a pre-season friendly. This isn't the Women's Euros that's been on over the summer. This is an actual association football Scottish Premiership game happening this weekend, because football is back. The league is back. The good stuff, the real stuff is back. We're playing St Mirren. We are starting the season how we ended last season, because the last two league games that we played last season were Aberdeen at Pittodrie and St Mirren at Celtic Park, and we're starting this season with St Mirren at Celtic Park and Aberdeen at Pittodrie in the next two games. So St Mirren, I can't really say that I can comment much on them over the summer. I know they would have been playing in the League Cup and whatnot, but I can hazard a guess at how St Mirren are going to come and set up. They're probably going to be 10 men behind the ball. There's probably going to be a few cloggers in that team that are going to be not afraid to put themselves about a wee bit, rough some of our players up, because that is very much Stephen Robinson's forte. They did give us a wee bit of a scare on the last day of last season, but the tail end of the season after we'd already won the league, and there was a few sketchy performances at the end. We've now had pre-season. Got to imagine the players will be energised for it. So, in terms of the lineup, goalkeeper, this one's been a debate now. It's going to be Kasper Schmeichel for me. Kasper Schmeichel's got to start. I think it's going to be him. But I say got to start. There is a case for Sinisalo, I think, after the way last season ended. And you even pointed out as well, you've got your concerns over Schmeichel's shoulder injury still. I think, though, Brendan will go with Schmeichel. But I don't think Sinisalo's completely out the picture this season. I do think he will get the cup games.
Well, you're probably right, unless that injury reoccurs. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that injury reoccurring can just be your body and your brain agreeing that maybe you're not what you used to be. And sometimes that is way, and it's like, okay, I mean, I'm talking as a professional football player, like, I know what that's like, but, you might want to bow out gracefully and all that as well. And it's like, if you are a proper football player and you're realising that you're limited there, it'd be really, really selfish for you to go in and say, okay, yeah, I'll go in there, knowing that you kind of get to balls on that side if that shoulder injury is more than you want. So, I don't know. How do you do? This is man management. This is why a guy like Rodgers with experience and all that, really needs to show up there and manage and look at what he has in front of him. I think Sinisalo's distribution from the back is so much better. He sees the game better. He contributes more. And so that to me is more than the shoulder, more the saves and the and the reactions, because I think also Sinisalo is very good too. But I think he contributes to more of the game offensively. When we're going forward, he starts that attack much, much better. And it's like, for Scotland, when do we need a shot stopper to, like we were getting pelted by loads and loads of balls. No, usually we're regrouping, we're starting the attack, moving it back, and so we need a goalie that can contribute and, bring it up there. My heart tells me Rodgers, out of respect, is going to go for Schmeichel.
Yeah,
it's going to be like a dressing room type thing, right? I think it's going to be his to lose. But I think as soon as there's that opportunity for Sinisalo, I think he comes in. He comes in, and then unless he gets injured, I think what you see is Schmeichel bow out gracefully, and maybe he'll get the cup games towards the end of the year, and that might actually reverse.
Yeah, well, say we saw last season when he did get some game time. We've got a very competent player that can step in there and fill in between the sticks, because we were worried for a long time about Sinisalo. What we're going to get with this guy? Is he any good? I think he did really well in the games that he played, and there's an argument to say he was unfortunate to lose in the game. But hindsight being 2020, as we all know, the way the cup final panned out could have been very different if Sinisalo was in goal, because that shoulder injury was playing its part. As for the back line, it'll be really, really exciting to see KT back. Well, we're not talking about GT at left back anymore. We're not going in and going, well, Greg Taylor's definitely going to start at left back line. We're in a new age. It's a new dawn. It's a new channel. It's a new era. It's new everything. I say it's new, but it's the same. It's an old left back. There you go. Everything's new, but it's an old left back.
I just want to see someone like taking a throw in now without looking like they're trying to shite a hedgehog.
The indecisive throw in,
the face, everything. Anyway,
he's gone now. He can't harm you anymore, Liam. He is gone. He's gone. KT, I'll be really excited to see KT back. It's going to be probably the way he gets his first touch. There's going to be quite a roar, I reckon, in the stadium.
I think so as well. And I really hope so as well, because you know what? You got to look at, for all the shit that's going on with the board and Rodgers and contracts and all that. My God, everything that we talk about as being a supporter, like imagine to play for Celtic. Oh my God, I'd never leave. Here you've got a boy that's actually acting that out in real time. That boy's left an awful lot of money on the table to come back and play with us. And it's just like, no, it's like just love. It's just pure love and all that. He's no worrying about the money. He wants to play for the team he supported growing up. He wants to play in front of his friends, his family, and that's playing for pride. And I'm really, really hoping that that's the intangible, that with all the other shit going on this year, with all the boardroom and all the no sign, that we just sort of like, there's a sleeping giant at left back right now that might actually transform this team, because that is a guy that came back to play from the heart. And I think that we'll be able to judge every single player on that team now is whether they're sort of adopting to his philosophy and if that passion is contagious. I think it is. The Celtic supporters all over the world, we know it's contagious. And Kieran Tierney, he's at heart of Celtic now. He really is, because he put his money out there. He's made more an investment in Celtic than any of these millionaires on the board. He's put his money into Celtic in a way that's, way more, than any of them have done. So, yeah, let's make sure that boy gets all the accolades and everything that he deserves, because that's love for the club, and you don't see that in many places. You've seen it with Totti, with Roma, very exceptional, few players like that. And Kieran Tierney right now, as Tony Soprano says in our house, that man's a fucking hero.
Yes. Condors made a good point.
Not hear bad name against that man.
He's a saint. He is a saint in this house.
That man's a saint.
Yeah. Maeda will love playing with KT. Condor's the same. Bang on. That is a great point. That'll be a very exciting tandem down the left-hand side. But yeah, it'll be good to see Kieran Tierney back in a Celtic shirt on Sunday. Now, the centre-back pairing, I think Austin Trusty had quite a solid pre-season. I have a lot of questions over Austin Trusty, rightfully so last season, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think Austin Trusty, again, talk about Schmeichel there, it's his jersey to lose, I think, when it comes to the left side centre back, because the options are Liam Scales or Inamura, who seems to be the backup left back anyway. So to me, Austin Trusty has to justify the price tag this time last year. He has to nail down that spot. It was wild last season the way he was rotated with Liam Scales. And it wasn't even like one game each or a couple of games. It was like one was out for a few months, then the other one was brought in for a few months, and then the next time he was dropped, it was out for a few months again, and it was like, it was just so weird. So to me, I think with the centre-back pairing, it's Trusty and Cart Vickers that start, and AJ will be at right back, I think. But AJ didn't play much pre-season because he was away with the Gold Cup, but he's definitely fit and ready to go. But I think again he'll go with his strongest team. But I say Ralston hasn't done much wrong, but Ralston's always quite happy to just be that guy, that squad player guy, and he can fill in when he needs to. But I think it'll be Alistair Johnson. But the middle of the park is an interesting one because there is a big glaring hole for me of who fills it. We know that McGregor's going to start, club captain after all, he's going to play. I think Hatate has looked sharp in pre-season, which came as a shock to me because a few weeks ago, if you all watched the Very Feeling, I thought Rio Hatate was out for ages because of the injury of Aberdeen. I'm sitting here talking to Liam saying, where does Hatate fit in when he comes back for his injury? And then the next day he's rocking up playing that. Was it Estrella the next day, the Portuguese team? And he's playing and he scores. And I was like, oh, well, I guess Hatate fits in perfectly then. What do I know?
He's just kidding on, Phil.
I think Hatate, he'll start now. The Engels conundrum comes up because obviously the price tag is going to always be hanging over him. He has to have a big season. He does. But Nygren has looked good in pre-season. It looks like we've definitely got a bargain there. I don't read too much into the price paid for him. It's just the fact that he only had 6 months left on his contract. That's why we got him for so cheap. I think if he had 3 years left, I think with Nygren we're looking at a lot more than $1.5 million. But he obviously seems to be a central player, even though we were told he can play out wide. And hey, that might factor into the forward line. But I think given in pre-season he played most of his games in the middle as a kind of number 10. So I think Hatate, McGregor, and I think Benjamin Nygren start. I think Engels will be on the bench. What do you think on that one, Liam?
I hope so. I hope so, because you have to talk. Complacency killed us the last half of last season. Complacency. That's what it was. Players expecting the game even though they weren't performing. And if you look at a pre-season, that's your showcase. You have to show to the manager you're competing with young boys, you're competing with new arrivals, all that sort of stuff. So that's when you should be at your best and your most passionate. It's not like he's coming back from an injury. It's not like he's struggling with anything like that now. So what is it? What is it in his head that he was not able to take advantage of that pre-season and actually shine, to show us what we're going to do, to show that he's got another level? And that's what we always talked about. We talked about Ida, and we talked about Engels getting a really good pre-season under Rodgers. Okay, it didn't show up in the games. Is it going to show up in the league? And I'm not sure it will, because one doesn't sort of flow into the other. So I don't know. I wouldn't start him. I'd start Nygren. I think he's showed up and he's shown more spark. He's shown more passion for the club, and he's looking like he's wanting to earn it. And competition for a team is very, very good. Johnson's walking into the team. CCV's walking into the team. Schmeichel's walking into the team. Tierney's no worrying about it. McGregor's no worrying about it. All those names are all first on the team sheet, right? Ida, Maeda, like nobody's battling for a position other than like Quan, Tilo, and maybe Forrest. It makes no McCowan. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think of putting McCowan in the wing? He's played on the wing for Dundee.
Right? Did he play there for Dundee?
And Early United as well.
Well, obviously, I've got who I think's going to start on the wing and written down here in my notes. But here's a Joe Henry comment bringing in Paulo Bernardo. He says Nygren and Bernardo would start in his midfield. Bernardo's an interesting one.
I like Bernardo as well. I like Bernardo. I agree with it. I like Bernardo.
The thing is with Bernardo, obviously his first season here, I thought like, okay, I'm not quite sure what you're great at, but I feel like he's a bit like I had a bit of Joe Ledley's about him, where he went quietly about his business, which isn't a bad thing. That just means he's doing it effectively. He just doesn't draw attention to himself. Last season, again, I thought he started the season really well, and then Engels came in, and he was sort of in and out the team. I mean, the game against Rangers last season at Celtic Park, where we beat them 3-0, I know it seems a long time ago, that one, given the results we've had against Rangers since then. But yeah, we did beat them 3-0 at the start of last season, and he was fantastic that day. But since he came back from his injury, I remember being on here and shouting about when's Bernardo going to start getting game time again? Because it felt like we kept just leaving him out. But then he did finally get a chance near the end of the season, and he was quite anonymous. But I think he was just victim of the lethargic nature of the whole team at that point. I do think, though, this season, when he does get his opportunities, he needs to make sure he takes them. Because, I feel there's a player in there as well. I feel like we talk about the physical side in the midfield, something that some fans think we lack. I think Bernardo's got those characteristics, but we need to see it coming out this season. And hopefully he does get sufficient enough game time to show it, Liam. But Negrin and Bernardo for Joe Henry.
Phil, let me ask you a question. What do you think of McCown's pre-season? I think
he's actually done all right.
I thought he looked really good,
Yep.
I thought
the goal against Cork, he scored against Sporting as well. But he's looked all right. He's not done himself any harm, put it that way. He's definitely sort of like, okay, I'm not here just again to make up the numbers. Because last season when he came into the team initially, most of us thought, well, he's just here to make up the numbers. And as an initial impact, he was scoring goals, he was contributing, and you began to think, okay, well, he could really do something. But again, that the tail end of last season, when he did get a few opportunities, namely the game against Rangers that we lost 3-2, I think he was just overwhelmed by the occasion that day, and it all just went wrong for him basically. But he's got it in him, and again, he's a handy player to have. He's a handy asset. So when McCown does come into the team, does make an appearance, I'm not like, oh no, this is such a massive downgrade. He's shown that he's got it in him. It's just having that consistency. But I think he'll be probably on the bench. But yeah, Negrin's names came up a few times. But of course, I think Patrick McLaughlin said earlier on, Negrin could fill in at right wing because there is a gaping hole in the forward line with that one. Now, if it's down to a choice between Yang, maybe even Tillio, and James Forrest, can I shock you, Liam? My choice every day of the week in that three would be James Forrest, as mad as it sounds, at 34 years old in 2025. And the reason why is quite simple. Both Yang and Tillio have agreed deals to leave, and they're halfway out the door. It's just a case of they're waiting on getting the green light from another winger coming in to let them go. To me, if they're checked out now and halfway out the door, don't start them. James Forrest is here, and I know I say it's mad, it's 2025 and he's 34-year-old, and he was toiling a wee bit at the tail end of last season trying to get that goal. He was trying everything in his power and he finally got it. But genuinely, if you're giving me a choice of day three, and it has to be strictly one of day three, so Negrin could maybe be the wild card here. So we've got that up our sleeve if we need it. But if I had to pick between day three, I would pick James Forrest every day of the week.
Mate, I would absolutely love it if James Forrest scored our first goal of the season.
The last goal of the season, the first goal of the season.
Aye. I think that would be pure Celtic. That's the way we tell stories. You know it's bound to happen. Just like that, we talked about it before he came on. You know he's going to score. He's going to score that goal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of these. I'd start him before Tillio. I've seen nothing. I'd put Luke McCown on the wing before I put Tillio on the wing. I think he should be ahead of him in the pecking order because I know I've been critical on him before. I thought he let us down in the Rangers game. He looked overwhelmed. But that's all right. He's a wee guy for Greenock, right? We've seen that before.
Actually, another wee guy for Greenock that's pals with him.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So if he's the one that's talking him through the game, you're in big trouble. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see James Forrest make an appearance, and it's like I'd love to see him get that goal early, and then you're not having that shite at the end of the season. You know what I mean? Where you're trying to turn something into, we've got to get Jamesy his goal, although I don't think Rodgers went and tried to purposely do that, but it just seems to consume everything and all that, and it adds an extra tension that you don't need at that part of the year. Lucky we would already been well ahead in the points and all that. Yeah, I'd love to see him score that goal first, just to say, okay, right, you've done your bit now. You're in history, and now just show up as well and be that utility player we need you to be at this age. Come in to sort of break down a game, ride it out, or come in and try and be that spark, that cutting in the inside, whatever it is that you do really well. I thought he's looked good in pre-season, by the way.
He has actually. He's looked all right.
What is he, 32?
34.
34.
Does he look at? I mean, he still looks like.
He still looks like a wee guy, Aye. You can know you in a pub, but yeah, but he is a senior player, and you got to respect that as well. Honestly, It's weird. I always think of James Forrest now. You look at him and he looks exactly the same in that, but for some reason, we're all geared into this sort of, ageism and all that. That somehow he's an old guy and he's only 34. I'm fucking 30 years older than the guy, right? And I still think I can go out and run a shift in the wing.
I'll be 40 years old on Wednesday, 6th of August. I'm counting down to that. I'm about to hit the big
40?
40, 40 this coming Wednesday. So I'm hitting that one.
Oh,
so
happy
yeah, he's
birthday.
only 34. He's a pup in relation to me. So there you go.
Mate, there you go. Hey, do you know what surprised me this week? I found out I'm only 2 years difference in Peter Lowell. I thought Peter Lowell was well into his 70s. So he's 66. He'd be around for fucking ever. That's like, oh no.
Got a long way to go with that one. He's got a long innings still to go by the looks of it. Oh,
I'm ready for a square go now. Come on. I've got no problem fighting anybody in my division.
Well, let's move on then to the new holder of the Claxon. Let's address him. We've left him at
Peter
the
Lowell.
end. No. He's not getting the Claxon.
Adam Ida.
Yeah, let's get it ringing.
Big Adam.
It's Big Adam. He's now the new holder, I think, of the Claxon these days. But yes, this is a conundrum. I know that you have shouted many times about you want Maeda through the middle and only through the middle. But again, we're a winger shortage right now. I think it's safe to say Maeda's going to start on the left. Ida, he says he wants to score 30 goals this season. Of course he's going to say that. He's a striker. All strikers want to score 30 goals. There's nothing wrong with him saying that. But again, John Hartson said this in the press recently in relation to that. Saying it's one thing, doing it's another. He has to hit the ground running. And this is where my issue comes in with Adam Ida. I want him to succeed. I want him to be the best he can possibly be. I've said it enough times. His goal in the 2024 Scottish Cup final, I honestly had an out-of-body experience for about the 30 seconds that followed that moment. It will live for me forever, that goal, that just the euphoria, the limbs in the stand. It was ridiculous. So I've always got a thing where I'm like, I want Adam Ida to do well. Just for that moment that he gave me, I want him to do brilliantly. But it's the games when he doesn't score, he's not doing anything else. I think if you look at his stats, his number of assists will be pony. Like, he's not linking up the play. He doesn't really get involved. He's quite lethargic. See if he was like really heavily involved in setting people up and like squaring it across the goal for somebody else to score. And he had a decent number of assists. But what usually happens is if he's having a quiet game and nothing's going his way, he's not getting the service, he's not getting into the game. See when that 60-minute Claxon comes, when Brendan's getting the subs ready, the number 9 is always one of the first numbers that goes up. And inside me, I'm just dying a wee bit every time it happens. I'm like, I just wanted him to do something today. But then he'll go on like a mad run, Liam, like 5 games in a row where he'll score in every game. He did it last season. He had these wee like spots of 4 or 5 games in a row where he'd score, but then 4 or 5 games where he would do nothing. And it's like he just needs to find that consistency. 30 goals a season. I don't think it's not out of the question. He's got it in him, but he has to find the consistency, Liam. And it would be a great place to start on Sunday to stick a couple in the onion bag.
Oh, mate, if you could turn it around and all that, how you crow and all that, say, oh, fucking Adam Ida is like fucking best thing to come out of Ireland since Phil Lynott, whatever, I'll fucking put my hands up, no problem. Because you want that to happen, you want to see it, but I don't see it. That's the problem. I don't see it. I don't see it the way he shows up in training. I don't see it. It's a horrible thing when you see somebody that's got an opportunity, you don't think they're taking advantage of it. Come on, you're an Irish kid. You probably grew up with Celtic or around Celtic supporters and all that. Here's your big chance. You're playing for Ireland as well. This is such a great platform for you. I would have thought you would have came back for pre-season absolutely ripped. I thought, as well too. And it's some people just can't share that. It's the way their sort of DNA and all that is set up. They're very low key. They're very lethargic. Like, I'm a maniac. I'm directing and all that stuff. I turn into a different person. It's like fucking wired 24/7. Like, my focus is intense, but I had to learn to sort of put that on. It's not the same me as you see here, and that's what you want to see when you're football, that somebody can come in and completely transform themselves. I thought we were going to get a Duncan Ferguson, like that sort of player that was coming in that was going to throw it about. It was going to show passion, aggression, but also skill and a bit of flair. And I was hoping Ida had all that and that we would find a way for him to play him. And I mean, he's a still young boy. Young boys still to figure out. You know, you become a man, you grow into being a man. Who knows what it takes? You might need the right lassie. You might need the right arm around the shoulder, somebody within the club, whatever it is to get him to that level. But right now, I think he's just missing that 5% that's going to turn him into a really good player. And, you know, you hope it's at Celtic. You want to see him do well. But right now, it's like, I think you're going to have to get in the queue because you've not earned it, right? And if you're not earning it, you shouldn't be getting it.
Yeah. No, definitely. He's showed some moments over the last year and a half where he's got it in him. The performance at Kilmarnock was unbelievable that night we won the league. He was phenomenal that night, the way he bodied the Kilmarnock defence. In a season where Kilmarnock caused us a lot of problems, they took serious points off us that season, and it was very touch and go at times with some of the results they got against us that put us in a bit of jeopardy. He was fantastic. Then I say the goal in the cup final, really important goals at Easter Road to beat Hibs, a ground that Brendan Rodgers always seemed to struggle at. A late one against Motherwell for Park. Again, when we were drawing the game, we ended up going on 1-3-1. And then last season, I say the 2 goals at Villa Park, ultimately, we lost the game, but we dragged us into the game out of nowhere because we had a shocker of a start in that match. We were absolutely dreadful. In the first 5 minutes, we were 2-0 down. They pulled us back into it. The team just ran out of steam in the end. But he's had some moments. There was a goal, I think I referenced it in a show the other week against Dundee United, where something had happened about 30 seconds before it, where the crowd got on his back for something, like a bad pass or whatever. And then when the ball came back to him, he just unleashed it right in the top corner outside the box. And a wee bit of anger to him, a wee bit of a chip on his shoulder, like a point to prove. And it's like, you've got it in you. You've got it there. So it would be fantastic if Adamida was to get a goal. But I think he will start. I think Yamada will be on the bench. I think we'll get to see Yamada at some point. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited. I think with the pace and all that, I think there's something there that'll get you off your seat. I mean, I see it enough times whenever Maeda is chasing that ball down in the stadium. It gets people sitting forward in their seat, out their seat. A fast player always excites folk, and Yamada seems to be that. So it could be quite an interesting dynamic if him and Maeda are linking up together at some point.
I'll throw an old reference out there. It gives me Coco Mizuno vibes. Do you remember?
Coco Mizuno, yeah.
I mean, he came in, he was fucking brilliant. Like,
scored a great goal at Falkirk. I remember he scored one goal and it was against Falkirk, and it was fantastic.
It was rapid, and but yeah. Anyway, aye.
Well, see, I think Yamada will definitely get in the park though at some point on Sunday.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I thought Johnny Kenny's had a pretty good pre-season as well. And if you look at it, he should be on the park before Ida. I thought Johnny Kenny's been really good, and it's like, okay, so what do we have there? Is it just the price tag that's separating the two of them? Because it didn't look much difference in the price tag when they were playing pre-season.
Yeah, Johnny Kenny. Me and David did a show that night talking about, is Johnny Kenny going to feature this season? Now, there's still talk that he could go out on loan or move on or whatever. Maybe he's been put in the shop window. But again, much like Luke McCown, I don't think he did himself much harm. And maybe Brendan Rodgers is looking at him and going, well, you've got some use to me, not necessarily being the new number one striker every single game, but to the point where if he looks to him on the bench and goes, he might be an option, might have something about him, but we'll wait and see on that one. So Liam, before we go, I'll do the funny names as well before we finish as well. I've got a few of them gathered up, but prediction, Liam, the first prediction of the season, and how do you think it's going to play out on Sunday, mate?
Well, first of all, St Mirren are no mugs. That's probably my second favourite team in Scotland right now. You know,
St Mirren, the buddies. Paisley
gave me all my some of my favourite artists. I'll come my most favourite artists: John Byrne, John Martin, Jerry Rafferty.
Yeah.
Small Paul, Richie Colley, all the bar-headed boys, and I love Paisley. So I've always had a soft spot for St Mirren ever since I heard them. When they used to do the soccer results in Canada, in Toronto, and it was like, used to have a girl that used to come on, and it was like, we were used to Aloha Athletic. That would happen that was
Aloha.
Yeah, like
fantastic.
the Hawaiian team that play in
The
Scotland.
Hawaii team in Scotland.
But my favourite, and we never let it go because used to play football with a couple of guys from Paisley that were St Mirren supporters, was San Moran. It was like Celtic 4, San Moran 0. And
San Moran. Oh my
it's
God.
always been San Moran for me. So here's my prediction. Celtic 3, San Moran 0. And by the way, my niece is getting married to the captain. So woohoo!
Nice one. San Moran. I remember that one. That one will stick in my head now. San Moran. For if I've got 3-0 as well. That's what I've went for as well. But as I always say, as long as Celtic win, that's all that matters. You know, I know it's only the first game of the season. You do want to put down a marker with a good performance, but as long as Celtic just come away with the 3 points, that's all that matters. But yeah, St Mirren will come and they'll sit deep and they'll be a bit of a tough test in that sense. They won't have much ambition to go up the park, so it's all about just finding that first goal and breaking them down. Now, funny names at the top of the show. I obviously said with the signing of Jahmai Simpson-Pusey, I was looking for some suggestions of the unfortunate names in football, some of the funny names out there that a commentator would look at and obviously be like, oh no, I'm going to have a nightmare with this one. I'm going to 100%. I was looking at the tongue, so a couple of names obviously I felt was obviously Raphael Felipe Scheid. That one writes itself. I was a reference to Championship manager, niche cult hero from the early 2000s, Argel, whose full name was Argelico Fox when you looked at his profile. So I've gathered up a few from earlier in the show. So let's see. So Patrick McGough came in with former Marseille player and France international Rod Fanny. Again, price itself, Rod Fanny. And again, Patrick McGough, this one's an obvious one. Euro 96. England are playing Germany in the semi-final. England are winning 1-0 and Germany equalised. And it was a player by the name of Stefan Kuntz. Of course, Kuntz, and John Motson had to be very careful that night in the way he pronounced that one. But yes, Stefan Kuntz. Jim C says Johnny Bumstead played at Chelsea in the early 1980s. Patrick McGough, another very obvious one. Julian Dix for very obvious reasons. I remember this guy. I'm pretty sure like Fabiano Arce, but I'm pretty sure
Arce.
It's not like his name was like abbreviated to something else that came out looking like cheeky, like cheeky arse. I feel like he played for Sunderland. That boy definitely played for Sunderland. I can remember that one. Danny Shitu is an obvious one as well, former Millwall and Watford defender. I'm pretty sure a player that was linked with us as well at some point, Danny Shitu, Nigerian international. I feel like around the Strachan era, his name was linked as he played in Millwall and Watford. And another one for Padua, David Goodwillie. I mean,
only one I can add to that is maybe David Seaman. I remember being in a pub.
Well, that's quite an unfortunate name when you think about it.
I remember we were all standing there, like we'd come in for the football and they were showing Arsenal highlights. I remember the boys, saw Celtic boys in Toronto, and we're like, and remember one man goes, "I quite like Seaman." I go, "What?"
Paddy McGuire's made this. I know this one from playing FIFA because obviously I play on Ultimate Team and you open up the loot box packs and they've got the women players now in Ultimate Team. And yes, there is a German international with the second name Minge.
Well, Danny Mings.
A friend of mine was actually watching some of the women's Euros there, and apparently her name is pronounced Minger or something like that. But come on, if you see that written on the screen, you are going to say Minge. You're going to see it. So that's an unfortunate name to say the least. But yeah, all that fun and games out the way, all that done. Welcome along to Celtic as well, to Jahmai Simpson-Pusey as well. So welcome along, son. Yes, we will leave it at that. It's been another Friday feeling. Thanks for joining, everybody. Hit the like button on the way out again to help us all traction in the algorithms. We'll try to get to 500 subscribers. We're not too far off it now. Will we get there before Sunday? We won't be too far off. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. But we're not too far away anyway. But anyway, that's all. It's all there. But anyway, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to discover this. And we will see you on the next one, which should be the post-match show that we'll do, the bus home on Sunday. Now, Terry, the first competitive game, Terry is in Lanzarote right now, so there's a good chance, Liam, it could be you, me, and maybe Regan standing in on Sunday night, maybe.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we will have a post-match show. The bus home will be on Sunday evening at some point. So hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you know when it will be on. But I think it's looking like it's going to be you, me, and Regan that are going to be doing it because, I say, Terry is currently in Lanzarote. He did offer to take his laptop, and I was like, take your lap. Don't do that, Terry, for God's sake. Go and enjoy the sun. But yeah, Terry will be back, and he will be in the hot seat for the post-match show for the Aberdeen game.
He's the eye candy. He's the eye candy of the bus. We need to get him in Lanzarote with the top off, the smile, blue eyes. Fucking Terry's our Mel Gibson. We got to milk that. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Terry. Mel Gibson. We got to milk that, Phil.
Terry is the needle mover. He is the ratings winner. Yeah, got to give in. So he will definitely be back in for next Sunday for the Aberdeen post match. He'll definitely be on for that one. But for this coming Sunday, I say it's very likely to be me. Liam will be back on, and Regan. It will be really because Regan's our season ticket holder, so he needs to get back for the game. I'll need to get back for the game, but I'll set it up when I get home, and we'll be on. I don't know, but back 8 or something. I'm just guessing. But again, you will know that if you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, you will know when we're on. So we'll catch you then, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Celtic are back, football is back, and to say the least, we're all absolutely delighted. And most of all, Kieran Tierney's back, and it's not Greg Taylor. Fantastic. Let's go and celebrate that, Liam. Let's go. Right, we'll catch you later, guys. See you on the next one.